Now look, the case is going to be going to the jury. How would you prove innocence? Or how would you find guilty? How would you find Diddy not guilty? Because you're not going to prove innocence. There's no such thing as innocence. Stop saying innocence. There's no such thing as that. How would you win the case with Diddy? Very, very simple. Let me go through a couple of things with you, bring you up to speed. Remember, I don't care about proving anything. Remember, I'm the defense lawyer. I'm trying to basically kill probable cause. A reasonable doubt, I should say, okay? Now, first, the strategy is that this was debauched. This wasn't criminal. The central argument is going to be that this case is about moral disapproval of Sean Combs' lifestyle, not about proof of federal crimes beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense has got to convince the jury that while Diddy may be guilty of excess and vulgarity or even immorality, he is not guilty of orchestrated a criminal enterprise or trafficking anyone. As to RICO, you've got to attack the RICO conspiracy, attack the enterprise and predicate acts. And the best argument is that there was no enterprise. This was not the mafia. This was a celebrity entourage, not a crime syndicate. Undermine relatedness. Relatedness. First part, relatedness and continuity. Relatedness. Argue that the alleged acts, drugs, sex, money, whatever, were isolated acts, not part of some coordinated plan. Undermine continuity. Remember, relatedness and continuity. Portray the incidents as episodic, chaotic, even abusive, but not organized, not systemic, not systematic, not organized, not continuous. That's the most important thing. Remember, this is the aspect which is the most important. You have to understand relatedness and continuity. That's it. Undermine the involvement of others. Say that no one was employed in the criminal network. Friends, girlfriends, staff, all voluntary, present in this orbit of fame and excess. The tagline should be, this was a party house, isn't a racketeering ring. This is Hugh Hefner. This is the Playboy Mansion. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion? No. Attack consent and intent. The best argument is that they were adult relationships. Messy, toxic, gross, even manipulative, horrible, but they were not trafficking. They were not trafficking. Emphasize agency and participation. This is important. This is the alleged victims in this remained in relationship. They took money, accepted gifts, traveled by choice. No commercial sex arrangement forced or brokered. It was intimate. It wasn't a transactional, illegal sense. And undermined the force, fraud, coercion element. This is important. Did the alleged victim ever call the police? Were there threats or just power imbalances? Did the prosecution prove any intent to exploit? The tagline, the theme is, there was seduction, not sex trafficking. Next, transportation for prostitution. This is the Mann Act. Attack the intent and definition. The best argument is that no one was trafficked across state lines for prostitution. This was a private relationship, not a pimping operation. Attack the definition of prostitution. Was sex offered for money, or was it part of a consensual, romantic celebrity lifestyle? As crazy as that might seem. Highlight voluntary travel. Did the victims choose to travel for parties, events, or relationships? They choose. Were they told to perform for pay, or did they just show up, or were they reimbursed? This is not prostitution. Undermined intent. The prosecution must prove that Combs intended to have someone cross state lines for illegal sex work. Proving beyond a reasonable doubt is very tough, especially in celebrity context. This is going to be really tough. The tagline, the idea should be, she traveled for love and fame, not for sale. And also, weaponize the spectacle. The defense can argue that the entire prosecution is political. It's about feeding the media machine. It's about trying to make a federal racketeering case fit. Because if they don't fit, there is no federal case here. The government turned the sordid gossip column into a federal indictment. Don't let that circus determine a man's freedom. Undermine the credibility of witnesses, money, motive, publicity, lawsuits. explain we didn't have to put a case on because the prosecution never proved theirs. Highlight the idea of selective prosecution. Why now? Why after civil suits were paid? Why now? Argue overreach. The feds are turning Hollywood excess into organized crime. That's not justice. That's overkill. And what you have to do is you have to tell the jury, you may hate the parties. You may hate the drugs, the fame. You may hate him. But that's not your job. Your job is to decide whether the government has proved its case. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, they failed. That's the way you do it. That's it. That simple. And what's so interesting, believe it or not, is that nothing more needs to be done, needs to be explained. That simple. That easy. That clean. Don't make it any more obvious than it is. That's it. Or don't make it any more complicated, I should say, because the idea is that it's obvious. And sit down and let that jury, the less you say, the better. Breviloquence, be brief, show brevity in thought. That's the way to do it. It's the most important and critical thing there is. And what I'm telling you, more than anything else, which is so critical, is for people to understand the idea that this case has hit overkill. They've been hit with this tsunami. They don't know what to make out of it. The complexity and the enormity and the sickness of it will ultimately inure to the benefit of Diddy. Guaranteed. Now listen to what I'm saying. Remember, I don't like this guy, you don't like this guy, but our liking it has nothing to do with it. If they had charged him with arson, you would be right to say, you know what, where was there any evidence of fire? That doesn't mean that nothing bad happened. It doesn't mean that that nothing occurred. It means that what they charged him with was not what they proved. That simple, that obvious. And that, my friends, is the case in a nutshell. And that's why they should and will find Sean Diddy Combs not guilty. What do you think? Comment as you see fit.